Welcome to Season 3 of E-Commerce Fastlane, Episode 119.
Welcome to E-Commerce Fastlane, the podcast show to help you build, launch, grow, and scale a wildly successful e-commerce company. Listen to real conversations with proven practical strategies and success stories. Learn how to generate more traffic, more sales, more profit, and customer lifetime value for your Shopify store. And now, your host and e-commerce entrepreneur, Steve Hutt.
This episode is brought to you by Grin, the #1 influencer marketing software solution that's built for direct-to-consumer brands on Shopify. They're an all-in-one relationship management platform that helps you cultivate an authentic influencer network and a more valuable brand. From discovery and outreach to campaign management, Grin streamlines your workflow, removing the busy work while giving you the tools to help you grow and scale your program. From influencer recruitment, communication, product seeding, discount codes, and affiliate links, including content and rights management, sales and tracking, and influencer payments, Grin helps you do it all. Smart brands truly understand that creating an emotional connection with your consumer drives up lifetime value, because what you end up doing is building a stronger brand. You create diehard fans who come back and purchase from you again and again. Get started today with Grin and make the most of your influencer marketing program with the all-in-one platform that's designed to help you build more authentic, brand-boosting relationships. So go check them out at grin.co. Hey there, it's Steve, and welcome back to the E-Commerce Fastlane podcast. Now, if this is your first time listening, this is an e-commerce show where we have honest and transparent conversations about building and thriving with your store powered by Shopify or Shopify Plus. New episodes are available each week with your favorite podcast player through Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, and Spotify, or you can also sign up online at ecommercefastlane.com and be notified when a new show is being released. Now, my guest on today's episode is Yaniv Navot, who is the Vice President of Global Marketing from a company called Dynamic Yield. And they're an experience optimization platform that has helped thousands of companies quickly build and test personalization, optimizing, and synchronizing digital customer experiences. Dynamic Yield offers Shopify merchants literally a hassle-free deployment of its experience optimization solution with its brand new Shopify Plus app. Now, we'll talk more about that in a few minutes. Brands on Shopify Plus can now implement the entire Dynamic Yield solution in a matter of minutes with zero errors. Using the app, every action on your Shopify store is now instantly and automatically fed into Dynamic Yield's engine, which then allows you to achieve and execute any personalization and optimization goals that you might have. So you can run things like personalized product recommendations using their deep learning algorithms. You can tailor content of your web pages, your product pages, your collection pages, anything to match the individual user's affinity and their preferences. Even things like reducing cart abandonment, auto-triggering personalized emails. Like literally the solution does a lot. So I'm so glad to have Yaniv here today. So let's jump in and learn more. So hi, Yaniv. Welcome to E-Commerce Fastlane.
Hi, Steve. Thank you for having me. That was a great introduction. Thanks for that.
I've been doing a little bit of research. It's funny, I have an opportunity with the brands that I manage, and I see Dynamic Yield listed in their admin, and I know many people are having wild success with it. And so I wanted to make sure that I shared the opportunity a little bit more the wider audience about what is available out there and how your platform is helping with this growth of many, many brands. So I mentioned a lot of it at the beginning, but I'd love to hear it in your own words. Like, what sort of problem is Dynamic Yield solving for mostly Shopify Plus brands?
Essentially, we solve for growth. Dynamic Yield acts as the technology layer that sits on top of your existing CMS, and we allow different functions within your organization, including the marketers, product managers, developers, and merchandising teams, to algorithmically match content, products, offers to each individual, and then use A/B testing and optimization to continuously improve the messaging and improve your revenue KPIs. From our list of 350 global brands, many of them are running on Shopify, including brands like Untuckit, Third Love, Mamas and Papas, and many more. And what we bring to the table essentially is we connect the data and the activation layer. So we allow our customers to collect customer data from, in this case, the Shopify Plus application, but also from any other source like the CRM, POS, or whatever the source that they have, and consolidate and unify all of that data and activate it through all of the different things that you mentioned in the introduction, like personalized product recommendations, predictive targeting, personalized messaging on the site, different social proof messaging. And on top of that, there's another layer of A/B testing and optimization that allows you to see what's working, what's not, and continuously optimize it using machine learning.
So let's talk about the founder's journey, because I'm always fascinated why people build what they build. It's very clear that this solution is really helping a lot of Shopify brands. I mean, you mentioned some pretty big brands with Untuckit, and especially with their retail locations, and Third Love is huge. And there's a lot of great brands that are using it. The most important thing for me is like why people want to build it. Like there's obviously a founding team. I'd like to understand a little more about their desire and their expertise of, wanting to build this platform.
Absolutely. And I think that the story of how Dynamic Yield was founded is quite an interesting one. Liad Agmon, the co-founder and CEO of Dynamic Yield, he sold one of his previous companies to Sears. And back then, Sears were doing amazingly well. And then he ended up serving on their board and is the VP of product. And through this role, he discovered how insanely difficult it was for companies like Sears to tailor the homepage experience to different personas. They have an endless amount of inventory, and they needed to make decisions on what to show and to who. The problem was that in trying to improve that customer experience, the marketing tech stack was so disparate that even simple things were not speaking to one another. And then he started thinking about a world where this could be fundamentally altered by building a solution from the ground up that includes all of these different core components that would allow you to build an effective personalization stack in one unit. So that was essentially the inception of the idea behind Dynamic Yield. And then he founded the company with Omri Mendelevich, the CTO. And when I joined the company about 7 years ago, as the first marketing hire, it was back then a small room in Tel Aviv, and the market was completely different. We essentially had to educate the market around the different benefits of A/B testing and personalization and continuous optimization. So we spent many years perfecting our product market fit, building our audience and community. And initially we thought that the value of personalization should focus on the publishers and media vertical. That was our initial focus, and then we quickly changed that to e-commerce, which has helped us grow rapidly since 2014. And in the last couple of years, we've seen personalization become core for many industries. Today, we already know that 95% of marketers believe that there is value in personalization, but most of them don't know where to start and how to do that. And that's basically where we come in. We know that it's not just about the tech, it's not just about the platform. Even if you have the right platform, you need the right combination of people behind it, skills, knowledge. We're here to help with all of these things.
Yeah, these conversations come up quite a bit with the brands that I manage. They're trying to figure out, how do I have these authentic kind of one-on-one relationships with a merchant or with a brand, with these customers. It's very challenging right now because a lot of times the home pages are really not curated, certainly for the logged in experience, or at least for session tracking and kind of understanding order history, or, how many times they visited the site and things they've looked at in the past, and then start offering a curated kind of widgets and things on the homepage to offer something more personalized, saying, hey, these people actually know what I'm looking for. Or I remember a friend of mine buying some dog food, and actually from a Shopify merchant. But the weird thing is that they got follow-up email sequences with cat food in the email sequences. In all likelihood, if they wanted to buy cat food, if they happen to have a cat and a dog, and it's fine, that I'm sure that happens, but it's more rare, and they could have bought both. But I think for the most part, usually you have one pet, and it's usually kind of one variety. But here they are getting a lot of cat toys and food, and it's just like, okay, this is not on brand. This is definitely not helping convert. And so it's interesting that I'm sure that this is where Dynamic Yield fits in. It kind of tries to holistically understand understand the customer's buying journey, at least the known journey. I'm sure there's the unknown portion that still can be personalized. So it's quite interesting how you're able to kind of put all of these together.
Yeah, and personalization is about bringing value. We're almost in 2021, and organizations should understand by now that good marketing is marketing that generates value and is helpful. And personalization is not just hello first name in emails.
That's true. But that seems to be a starting point for a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's talk about there's one topic that comes up quite a bit with other brands is this whole customer experience, this CX. It's almost like a role that is a lot of brands are now actually having a customer experience manager, along with they would have a retention manager, other different types of VP type roles in a company. What sort of resources do you believe should be allocated, towards, I guess, this CX or this experience optimization type, I guess, role, or in this case, maybe using your platform?
Yeah, that's a great question, because if you think about it, the success or failure of your personalization program depends heavily on having the right people, expertise, and resources. Because I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the only thing that you would need is a magic software like Dynamic Yield that can work on its own somehow. There are no magic tricks. There are no shortcuts. Think about the marketing automation market, for example. You have marketing automation expertise. So you have, people who are experts at this, and this is what they're doing for most of their career. And we see it happening all around us. We see personalization experts as job titles, and our customers are looking to hire and fill roles within personalization and CRO. So it's very interesting. Essentially, there are these three components that you have to solve internally. Do you have the right people? Do you have the right processes? And do you have the right resources in terms of design functions, creative resources, development resources? And all of these different functions are going to be needed in order to execute on your personalization program. Now, it really depends on the scale and scope of use cases or your personalization vision. A company like Dynamic Yield is here to support you with that, because what we can do is, first of all, help educate you. So if you don't have the right team or skills, we have a lot of knowledge that's publicly available on the Dynamic Yield website. We also have internal training workshops and a lot of resources that would be available for you to help you become better at what you do, independent of your work with Dynamic Yield. So that's one thing. We can also hook you up with a partner. We have a huge partner network, and if you don't have enough internal resources, they can do most of the work for you. So there are a lot of different solutions. If you don't have a lot of development resources, we have what we call the templating engine that includes over 100 different out-of-the-box templates of different experiences that you can deploy on the website with a click of a button. So things like different exit intent messages, social proof messages, even dynamic banners and sliders, and more complex widgets on the website. We probably already have a template for that you can use. And so you won't need a developer to build that from scratch.
That's excellent, because I'm sure there are some best practices, but then be able to have access to those and certainly test them. It kind of makes me think a little bit about, and I have this misconception myself, like what exactly dynamic yield actually does. And that's why I have you on today, because I want to make sure that I'm clear about, even though I see lots of successful brands are executing with dynamic yield, I think knowing some more of the getting under the hood, so to speak, and kind of understanding what exactly, dynamic yield is actually doing. So are you able to share, maybe, because I'm sure that you get a lot of misconceptions from a lot of people about, what sort of things, you sign up to the platform and you get going with it. Do I need external resources? You're saying no, because there's some templates that are available that could certainly have a direct impact on revenue and lifetime value, conversion rate, and all these sorts of things. Just would love to hear it on your side, because I'm sure in the sales process, these come up and say, oh, I didn't know dynamic yield did that, or they have these, misconceptions, I believe, about what you actually do.
The first thing that comes to my mind is the idea that many people have that is wrong, that personalization can only influence on known users. So, people who are already in a database, who are logged in, who they are, and then you can influence on their different page views, experiences, and so on. But that's fundamentally wrong, because personalization can also influence on the first page view of a completely new user. So there are so many different things that you can do even within the first very session of a user without identifying the user, of course. So things like you take contextual data like the weather, the local weather. If you're selling coats and you have different types of coats that you sell, some of them are for snow, some of them are for like the fall season. You can change the messaging based on just that, the local weather, especially if you're a global business and people are coming in from different places of the world where the weather is, very differently. So that's one thing. But you can also tailor the message based on the country, the language, the referral data, the different type of campaign that was referring that particular user. So there are a lot of things that you can do. And even within that session for quote unquote unknown users, you can learn about their intent signals by following their tracks. So if you see that someone on his or her very first session on your website clicks on women's clothing, for example, then you know that she is interested probably in that category. And then you can also see maybe there is a particular color or affinity towards a particular brand. So all of these things, they're happening on the same session. And even without that person logging in, you can still learn about that and tailor the experience. And so that's a misconception that I typically hear a lot. There's another one that I'd like to share with you. It's not really a misconception about dynamic yield or about personalization in general, but I do see that there's a lot of confusion in the market about the different relationship between A/B testing, conversion optimization, and personalization. These are three different practices, and I think there's a lot of misconception there. As far as I see it, the truth is that they're all interrelated. And different teams can use different solutions based on or according to what they need. But in many cases, these three different practices, they work hand in hand in order to achieve that one goal of improving revenue and business KPIs. So for example, you can run a personalization campaign that also includes different A/B testing components within it. So think about a very simple campaign on your homepage. You have one banner that's targeted towards men, another one towards women. But then underneath that, in each of these experiences, you have different A/B testing variations to see which banner for men would work better. And then maybe you have 5 different variations there, or maybe even 20. And you let machine learning algorithms to choose the top one or the several top performing variations. I guess in other words, A/B testing is one of the engines behind the personalization campaign or program. So those three practices, A/B testing, conversion rate, and optimization, they work together. And if done correctly, then it will help you scale up your programs.
I have a couple follow-up questions. I'm just thinking, as you're speaking now. One thing is that I have brands that have questions about overstock or maybe SKUs that are very high gross margin. They want to make sure that they are promoting those SKUs. And so will dynamic yield have an opportunity either through an AI component or through a manual component that says, no, if people are coming and they're, as you call them, unknown, but they happen to be searching for black dresses or suede shoes or whatever it is, and those SKUs, however it's being searched and located on the website, which search is another question I'll ask in a minute, but so they get to the site, there's some kind of a curated selection. Does dynamic yield have an opportunity to be able to promote more of an overstock situation to help have it be more discoverable than being buried somewhere from within the collection? And or can we force higher gross margin SKUs as part of the experience?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a fantastic question because it's so important. We don't believe that machine learning decisions should 100% replace human decisions, especially not in retail and not in this case where we're talking about a merchandiser that in most cases, we're talking about people who are, this is their livelihood, this is their expertise. They know best which products to promote and when and to who. And machines would not be able to always pick up all of these different nuances. And so we think that the automated algorithms can improve the efficiency and scale of these decisions that humans eventually made. So the idea is that if you think about the application of product recommendations, it relies heavily on different types of algorithms. Like in our case, we have deep learning based algorithms, and you can pick between different sets of strategies that you want to use for different purposes. But then on top of that, the merchandiser can also introduce another layer of merchandising rules to control things like pinning products, changing the strategy per slot, and creating sort of like your own sets of recommendation strategies. They can also apply rules. So show only products that are on sale, or show only products that are above certain threshold, or that have a certain stock limit.
Yeah, inventory levels, definitely.
Exactly. Yeah, so you can control all of that and create your own custom rules on top of the automated machines that are working behind the scenes.
I remember having a fashion brand that unfortunately they were having some challenges, and I think they had to get a PIM, this kind of a product information system, to kind of help them manage or curate manually their selection. Because the challenge was they would sell out quickly on, they'd only have maybe 500 pieces. They're a very busy retailer, and then they would have a back in stock notification, a link available on the product details pages. But it was unfortunate for them and they asked me about, is there technology that can help them have above the fold, or at least high up in the collection, if you're looking for, in this case, let's say, dresses and black as your filters, and then they're showing them all. And unfortunately, in these overview pages, it was out of stock or click here to be notified, instead of dynamically having the collection in a better sort order and pushing the out of stock ones lower down the page just to get people to convert today. And so, does dynamic yield fit into that equation also?
Yes, we essentially take your data. In this case, we take the Shopify product feed with all of the different attributes that are there, including the stock availability and different product attributes like color and price and so on. And we give you the option to use all of these different attributes to make better, smarter, data-driven decisions on the website. How you want to use it is completely up to you. If you want to use it to personalize your product listing pages, you can do that using our deep learning algorithms. If you want to use our data activation to surface different, stock availability messages on the PDP pages, you can also do that. So absolutely, yeah.
So this show really does have a diverse, I'm sure you can appreciate this. We have a lot of different entrepreneurs that listen each week to this show. And, since you have kind of direct access to, all different maturity levels of brands, let's talk about the early stage brands first that you know of. What sort of advice are you able to share with the listeners today if they're in the early stage of their business journey?
Sure. So what I'm going to say might sound obvious, but invest in data. Data is the core of everything that you will do. And you should get your data straight before it's too late. So what I mean by that is that you should learn how to identify the customer across different channels and then focus on the data that aligns with your business goals and values. It doesn't make sense to measure everything and collect, the entire world of data. Just focus on the data that's important to you. So, for example, see if you can uncover valuable customer information such as purchase history, affinity, preferred channel, and different KPIs like AOV and more. The data will make the most positive impact if there is a specific reason why a retailer is choosing to use it. So use the data-driven approach to transform your organizational process around the customer centricity. And I think this is one of the things that would help you better understand customer wants, needs, behaviors, and so on, and will eventually help you build a more accurate and relevant personalization strategy. Data is the foundation of every personalization strategy, so get it right first.
You made a comment about identifying the customer, or at least attempting to identify a customer across a multi-channel world. And I think this is a real big challenge. Do you have any little tidbits for maybe these early stage brands? How does someone get to know, I guess, the multi-touch points of a customer or a potential customer? I guess there's two sides. There's the known customer, and then there's an unknown customer. We're just curious if you have any feedback for those listening today about, well, like, How do you identify a customer other than the one that's actually on your website?
Yeah, it's a very complex world. ID resolution across channels and devices is very complicated. You should start with the known users. Make sure that there is a clear incentive for them to log into the website, because it's not enough to say you can create an account and then use it if you want to buy something. Give them the incentive to also log in. Think about Amazon. You go there and you're always logged in. Why? Because you know that by logging in, your personalizations, your recommendations there would be more relevant. You will see your order history. You can order again quite easily. So there is a clear incentive for you to stay logged in, even if you connect on a different device, or if you use a different computer. So I would suggest that you would focus on that first before solving the more complicated problems that would require the right tech.
So, what about those listening today that would be considered in the mid market? So, probably more in the sweet spot of dynamic yield. They likely have a small marketing team, potentially a data scientist or a director of e-commerce, something, retention. There's going to be like a certain human capital of people available, and they're very eager to grow and scale. Like, from your vantage point, what should a mid-market brand be working on today?
It really depends on a team's level of personalization maturity. We run into large teams who are less advanced in their efforts and small teams that are super sophisticated. So, no matter the size of the brand we work with, we encourage teams to develop a clear understanding of their key audience segments. Again, going back to the data point, and then identify what each one of these audiences represent. So, allowing them to continuously learn from their behavior and also institutionalizing insights, which brings brands closer to their customers. Essentially, it all comes back to the data piece, understanding your audience, and identifying those opportunities that you can influence on. Through this deeper knowledge of the customer, teams will be able to generate a more accurate personalization strategy, improve different KPIs, and achieve eventually greater incrementality at scale. So I'll give you an example. I'm a power user of Dynamic Yield myself. So, I've been using it on our own website, eating our own dog food, so to speak. So I've been running different A/B tests, personalization, optimization campaigns, and I've been doing most of that work almost entirely by myself. I have a web developer who is helping me every once in a while with some small things, but really like 95% of it is done by myself alone. And right now, I just looked this morning. I have around 39 running A/B tests that are currently active on the website. Just think about the amount of tests and optimization campaigns that are currently running on our website, which is a relatively small SaaS website, but dozens of tests that are running, and just one person is creating all of these things. So, with the right state of mind, the right approach, and the right tool, obviously, you can make a difference. You can do more things with fewer resources and make an impact.
So, what does the future look like for dynamic yield? Are you able to maybe share your North Stars, I guess, for 2021 and beyond? I'm always curious about my partner alignment, because there are some existing tech stack in a lot of brands, or any innovation. At the end of the day, I just would like to understand, how you're going to continue to offer value and assistance, ideally to these Shopify Plus brands.
2020 certainly ended up for the world slightly different than what we had all anticipated. Surprise, surprise. But the company has been doing amazingly even in these difficult times. And while nobody knows what the future will hold, we feel one thing has become very clear. That is the ability to tailor digital experiences and quickly adapt to shifts in consumer behavior. Whether you're a large or small business, that has been an invaluable tool for many businesses. COVID, unfortunately for all of us, has been an amazing test in agility for teams, for organizations. And I suspect that this will remain true even as we continue to navigate through the recovery phase and 2021 and beyond. So, from a solutions perspective, I'm excited to share that Dynamic Yield is moving towards different applications of deep learning based algorithms. And we're going to slowly graduate more and more of these applications to allow the scaling of our customers' personalization programs. So we're planning some really interesting and innovative product features and new capabilities for 2021. And so stay tuned.
Well, we are nearing the end of the show for today, but do you have any closing comments or any takeaways that you would like to leave with our listeners?
Yeah, I think if I had to encourage one thing, it would be don't wait to start optimizing experiences. You can start small and scale from there, but I would really want to encourage every listener to think about how they can become more data-driven in their marketing approach by testing continuously, testing and optimizing and testing, personalizing messages. That would be my main encouragement.
I totally agree with you. On my wall, I have progress over perfection. So it really means getting out there. Let's not have this, analysis paralysis. We know that personalization is important. We know that, you have to be A/B testing. And so those are different things, but we need to be doing something. Maybe not the 39 things that you're currently doing on the site right now, but there are some people listening today that aren't doing anything or very limited amount. So the idea is hopefully what you learned today is that personalization is important. Customers are demanding it. It actually helps conversion rate and lifetime value. So super important. So please dig into that. I'll have some links in the show notes for, some people in the early stage and what sort of things you may want to consider to kind of help with those sorts of things. And those kind of in the mid-market to enterprise, dynamic yield sounds like a great opportunity for those brands. So let's talk about exactly where people can go and learn more about dynamic yield, both, I guess, the services that you offer as the platform and then the education component.
So if you want to learn more about Dynamic Yield, the platform, just go to dynamicyield.com. But as I mentioned before, we also have a huge repository of learning center with tons of articles, inspiration library with use cases, webinars, ebooks, guides, and it's purely educational and non-commercial. Just go to dynamicyield.com/learn and you will see all of that there. And as I mentioned earlier, we do have a Shopify app available. So if you haven't yet, go check it out and try it. Going back to what I said earlier, you can always start small. Personalization doesn't have to be like an overwhelming thing that you don't know where to begin with. Start with something small, very targeted. Identify your pain points. For example, if you know that you have a relatively high cart abandonment rate, then tackle this problem and focus on that first.
We did speak offline too, I guess, before recording today, and understand that you would like to offer, I guess, a listener-only promotion. Are you able to share some of those details?
Yeah, that's correct. We'd like to offer a free personalization assessment for the Shopify Plus businesses that are listening to this podcast. Our personalization experts will evaluate your website and prepare an opportunity discovery audit, all for free, to help you discover different optimization and personalization opportunities for your site that you can then take action based on, with or without Dynamic Yield. Just use the link to redeem your offer. It's ecommercefastlane.com/dynamic yield, and you can sign up to that.
Beautiful. And I'll have that redirect to the correct landing page and you can take them up on that offer. It's much appreciated. And well, as you know, Shopify's mission really is to make commerce better for everyone. And it's clear that, both you and Dynamic Yield really are in tight alignment with wanting to help Shopify brands to improve efficiencies, grow revenue, and, lifetime customer loyalty. And I just want to thank you once again for coming on the show today and sharing your knowledge and your vision and giving back to the Shopify ecosystem.
Thank you very much, Steve. It was a pleasure, and really thank you for having me.
Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Today's episode is brought to you by Grin, the all-in-one influencer relationship management platform. Grow an authentic direct-to-consumer brand on Shopify with the #1 influencer marketing software solution for creating genuine, direct relationships with influencers. You can learn more about their incredible solution and get started today at grin.co. Well, that's it for today's episode. I'd like to thank you, a loyal listener of E-commerce Fastlane. It's my hope that this podcast is offering you a ton of value through growth strategies, tactics, and exclusive insider tips on the best Shopify apps and marketing platforms, all with my personal goal to help you build, launch, grow, and scale with Shopify. Thanks for investing some time today and listening to the show. I'm so proud and excited that you have a growth mindset and are a constant learner. I truly appreciate you and your entrepreneurial journey. Enjoy the rest of the week and keep thriving with Shopify.